the one difficult thing, and I think a lot of people who are, I guess, literal converts to the church, who aren't born under the covenant, what they experience is having to like reorganize the way they think. Maybe adapting a little bit to the culture of the church. Sometimes that comes into it. Not understanding terminology. All that stuff was really difficult for me, and I felt like it was important for me just to like zero in on trying to understand all that. And it was hard for me to like carry some of this excess baggage of who I was, and I felt like that was a hindrance. At the time it was, but later on as I was in grad school, the question came up, why don't you talk about who you were, where you came from? And I was like, I put that on the shelf for 5 years, how can I go back to that? And so I went back and I started really looking at who I was, and I realized, man, I was raised in a wonderful home. I have this rich heritage that I can talk about. I was raised in a Catholic home, and so that part of my Catholicism mixed with being a Latter-day Saint is kind of like an amazing kind of like mixture of two different religious aspects. And I felt like this is something I could talk about. Why haven't I been doing this earlier, So first of all, the failed perception that I couldn't use any of that information. But now that I understand what it means to be a Latter-day Saint, it's about inviting all those important things, the valuable things to your life, to have that conversation at the table and allow others to see how others are living their lives and how they're integrating that into the gospel. So the big thing for me was not being afraid to say, hey, yeah, my mom talks about magic and the importance of magic in her cultural upbringing. Well, why should I disregard that? Why does that become unimportant in the process of being a Latter-day Saint? And so now when I start making paintings, the narratives are expanded to that conversation. They're not just about me as a person who is a Latter-day Saint. It's about me being with a layer of Catholicism, with a layer of my mother and where we came from in the Gilbert Islands, and how we practiced a form of magic, and how there were constant use of this in daily life. And that to me is amazing. Anywhere folklore meets kind of like the here and now, and I can butt up against that becomes important for the conversation in art making.